Alright, people watching car reviews on the internet, welcome to this, the 2024 Mazda MX-5 Miata Grand Touring. Today I'm going to get this little rig up in the air, we're going to nerd out in the tech specs, see what has changed with the all-new ND3 revision, and then go give it the beans. It is insane how tiny this car is. I thought those are just reflectors in the back bumper. They actually illuminate. The first thing that stands out in the back of this car is the high quality of the factory exhaust system. Stainless steel tips, nice. Out back, the 2024 MX-5 still utilizes a tubular multi-link rear suspension configuration with an aluminum knuckle paired with a set of Bilstein monotube yellow body coilover dampers. The rear anti-sway bar, which is comically thin on these things. You see it's attached right here to a tab on the rear subframe, all steel in construction. Sausage. 11 inches in diameter. Still one single resonator in the exhaust midpipe, which seems unchanged. Arguably one of the most notable changes for this new ND3 revision is the asymmetrical two-way limited slip differential. It has a 2.866 final drive ratio on these manual transmission cars. By going with this two-way conical clutch type LSD, it has stronger lockup characteristics under engine braking, which will resist oversteer, but reduce lockup characteristics during acceleration, which will resist understeer. ND3 designates that this is the third iteration of the fourth generation of the MX-5 Mazda Miata, and this being the Grand Touring 6-speed manual soft top, it weighs in at 2,368 pounds. Astonishingly light considering this is somewhere in the middle of the weight range of the model lineup with a 52 to 48 front to rear weight distribution. I don't recall this the last time I reviewed one of these things, but the undercoating is sprayed in almost like a flock-like rubber. It's super soft and smooth. It feels like fabric, but it's definitely for sound deadening. Aluminum X brace, another aluminum chassis brace, mid-pipe, which all of this is stainless steel in construction, measures in at approximately 53 millimeter in diameter, which is a little over 2 inches SAE. As far as the transmission choices go, you still have the same two options, the Skyactiv MT 6-speed manual transmission with a dual mass flywheel, which this one is equipped with, and you can also get the Skyactiv AT 6-speed automatic transmission, which doesn't ruin the car entirely. It's not bad, but it is by no means anywhere as close to as fun as the 3-pedal setup that is in this car. If you'll notice, connected to the tail half of the transmission, you see the PPF brace, which links the tail of the transmission to the front of the rear differential. I think also GM F bodies used to do this as well. It's a small car, but it's not exactly cramped on either side of the engine. You can see it's steel oil pan and the oil cooler plate right there, oil filter. Up front, you have an all-aluminum double wishbone front suspension, including the front knuckle that is also constructed out of aluminum. Again, paired with those monotube Bilstein coilover dampers. Aluminum under engine pan. That's nice to see. It doesn't really look like a lot has changed underneath this car, which is a good thing because it didn't need any changes. Front anti-sway bar measures in at 23 millimeter in diameter. The one place where they let me down. Everything else is superior quality materials until you get under the engine right here. It's just hairy cardboard right where it matters too. All right, time for the braking test. Nothing behind me. Ready, go. Okay, oh geez, wow. All right. That was great stopping distance. Just solid, smooth, no drama. I can only imagine what this is like with the Brembos on it. That braking was just made possible thanks to a single piston floating caliper with a 280 millimeter or 11-inch front rotor. The wheels, which are new for the Grand Touring this year, are a 17x7 alloy, made in Japan, might I add, stamped on the front of the face of the wheel. They're gloss black with every other spoke's face machined, which kind of makes the rest of the wheel disappear. All you see is the machined face. And is wrapped in a 205/45 17-inch Bridgestone Potenza S001 tire. Out back, you have another single piston floating caliper with another 280 millimeter or 11-inch rotor. The wheel and tire, the same size as you get up front. the name of science, I am now going to give it the beans. But first, an assessment of bolstering capabilities. Good. It's actually surprisingly good bolstering for this not being the optional Recaro. That right there is a speaker built into the headrest. They had that ever since the very first generation too. Now this is a Grand Touring, but the seats are manually adjustable because you don't need power seats in a car this size. That's just ridiculous. And that's as far back as I can recline it. Both front seats are heated, 3 stages of settings. As far as traction control goes, there are essentially 3 modes. You have your DSC track function right here of the checkered flag, which turns on a little checkered flag next to your traction control light. That just limits the amount of traction control while you still get stability and kinetic posture control. Or you can fully defeat everything. And because I was a smart, particular individual and forgot to bring my sneakers with me, I now have to give this thing the beans in 4-inch heels. So this is gonna be interesting to launch. Give this thing a little assistance and let it eat. Ready? There we go. Chirp second. Fantastic. Oh, it's so good. That's good. It's fast. It's actually fast. This is perfect everything. Perfect pedal feel, shifter, engine sound, great. The fact that I was able to do that first try, first attempt in 4-inch heels has nothing to do with my ability level and everything to do with the engineering that is in this car. The fact that I can't even screw it up with stupid shoes on means this thing was perfectly designed. Also, my shoes aren't stupid, they're really cute. Hood pop. Feather light hood. Underneath the hood of the 2024 MX-5 Miata, things remain unchanged for the ND3. It is still the same PE-VPS Skyactiv G 2-liter all aluminum dual overhead cam naturally aspirated 4-cylinder that produces 181 horsepower at 7,000 RPM and 151 pound-feet of torque at 4,000 RPM. You can see how far back the engine sits in the engine bay, making this thing basically front midship. That is why these cars have such great weight distribution. You can see the air box is located right in front of it, where it then flows into a plastic intake manifold. From this top angle right here, it almost looks like an NB generation MX-5. Whoa, look at the color of that little plate. It has like an oil slick looking finish to it. That's neat. Traditional mechanical brake booster. I'm curious, are you removable? Oh, it is removable. Well, it doesn't really show you very much, just the wiring for the coil packs. Digging in a little bit deeper on the Skyactiv G engine found in this Mazda MX-5, it has been in production now since 2011, so plenty of time for them to work out any little kinks or issues that may arise over the various years of manufacturing. Now this is 1998 cc's with an 83.5 by 91.2 millimeter bore stroke with a 13.0 to 1 compression ratio. Does have variable valve timing on the intake cams, 4-to-1 exhaust manifolds bolted to the side of the head right here. Super old school looking engine, I love it. This is also a chain driven engine, which is a plus. Some more chassis bracing going from the top of the strut towers right here to the firewall. And it's odd that they put the battery up here in the front of the engine bay. You think if this was in the trunk, it would have almost perfect 50-50 weight distribution. There are some people that are upset that this car hasn't received a full redesign yet, and I'm glad it hasn't. The perfect review of this car would be me not saying a single word and you just being able to experience the feeling that I'm getting right here from the driver's seat. There's no words that do justice for what it feels like to drive this car. It's just a constant smile on your face. Even if you're in a shit mood and you're driving to a dental appointment to have a root canal, you're still gonna smile with your busted tooth. Just any simple mundane driving task is made better in this car. Because of how small this car is, doing the speed limit makes it feel like you are excessively breaking the law. Everything seems so much more enhanced and dramatic in this little of a vehicle in such a good way. I will say you do have to live somewhere that has some windy roads, or at least find something, a parking lot with a bunch of cones in it, because you got to go around corners to have fun in this car. If you live somewhere where it's just a big grid of straight, flat roads, you might not have as much fun in this because it's no Hellcat. You're not gonna win in drag races against a muscle car with this. You'll feel like you're going to. Driving this thing in the track mode, honestly, I felt it was still a little bit too nanny robot assist invasive for me. It also depends on your driving style and ability level and conditions where you're at. It's such a predictable and easy car to drive aggressively. It's a great car to learn and sharpen your skills on. Even if you're an advanced driver, you can still sharpen your skills on a car like this. It's impossible to hate this car if you're a car enthusiast, unless you're like 7'3", then you can hate it because you will not fit. The Bilstein suspension that's in here, I feel would be great on a perfect road surface or on a track. On not the greatest infrastructure roadways, something that has frost heaves, or like I am in the desert right now, the asphalt's just very rippled, almost like a washboard effect. You notice every little imperfection in the road. It's not enough to be a deal breaker to make you irritated, but it is something that you notice. It also does kind of keep you on your toes though and make you feel more connected to the car. That's why I feel that the base model 16-inch wheels with a little bit more sidewall to the tire would be perfect on this car. And also styling wise, these cars look great with 16s as well. There's no auto rev match downshift feature. You just got to do it yourself as you should. And it's just perfect pedal placement. I wish I had about 500 more RPM to rip this thing though. 7,500 RPM just leaves you itching for another 500. 8,000 would just be absolute bliss in this car. You go there. I had to. It's literally perfect. It would probably fly off if I drove like that. As far as the trunk goes, pop this. Nothing has changed in this department. A little first aid kit. Is that what this is? Oh, it's for a pump in case you get a flat. There's a little light back here. That's cute. It's incandescent. Some of you that know these cars well might pick up on subtle little differences with the headlights and taillights. Just slight differences. Yep, that's glass. That's good. There's always been one unfortunate reality with this generation of MX-5, and it's nothing I feel they should ever change. It's just unfortunate if you're like myself and tall. At 5'11", I have almost no leg room over here. It's cramped. But you don't buy one of these cars because you care about the person in the passenger seat's comfort. While I'm usually not a fan of tan interiors, it actually looks fairly well the way they did it in here, especially with the white exterior on the top of the door cards. And it's a high-end looking interior. The materials feel nice in here. The shifter feel in this car is absolutely fantastic. Super crisp, notchy shifter. Old school mechanical e-brake instead of a stupid electric one. Love that. It's got this faux carbon texturized plastic by the window switches. There is no wireless charge cubby for your phone, but honestly, there's just really not enough room for one. You do have two USB-C outlets. And of course, it has the dual penguin holsters that you can remove and reconfigure over here. Since there is no glove box, you do get this little storage cubby still in the center between the two seats. Automatic climate control on the Grand Touring. While the gauges appear old school and analog, the third one all the way to the left is actually digital, which it has a few menus that you can scroll through for your fuel economy and your trip, as well as one for your lane keep assist, where it shows a little MX-5. Unfortunately, you can't change the color of it to match your car. The number one fault I have with this car is the fact that with a manual transmission, you're always hitting your arm on the knob that controls the infotainment system. Speaking of the infotainment system, it does have an updated 8.8-inch display now, and the menu system is very stereotypical Mazda. There's no fun performance apps in here or any Easter eggs, just pretty much all business, straight to the point. The inside of the convertible top has this soft, almost carpet-like material that's covering it. Nice and simple, just a little plastic latch right here is all you need. There's no denying that the RF top looks good, but these soft tops, like, how easy is that? That is ridiculous. Going back up. That's it. That's all you gotta do, put the top up and down. It's literally a couple seconds. As much as I'd love to be driving this thing with the top down right now, it's kind of windy out and you wouldn't be able to hear or see me. It would look like Cousin It was reviewing this car. I do wish Mazda offered this in more vibrant colors like they used to back when this car first debuted. The color palette is a little bland, and I know they're trying to go for a luxury upscale market
vibe, but just because you have money doesn't mean you don't like colors. That doesn't make any sense. Now you can fully spec this car up to the point where it is kind of excessively expensive for something that you can fit inside your shower. I would actually go for the Sport, the very bare bones base model that comes with 16-inch wheels that I think would suit this car better than the 17s. The only downside with the Sport is the fact that you can't get the limited slip differential and it doesn't come with the Bilsteins. But if you're into modifying cars like myself, then that doesn't really matter because you can just buy the LSD and swap it in yourself and put whatever coilovers or suspension you want on this thing. I don't feel this car needs a bunch of extra options to make it great. Although I will say the Bose sound system in here is incredible. I'd almost buy a Grand Touring just for the stereo. It's so good in here. Simplicity is what makes this car so enjoyable, especially today with all modern cars having essentially drive-in theaters attached to the top of the dashboard and every single safety feature to take the responsibility of driving out of your hands. Fuel economy on this car, considering the performance you get out of it and the smiles it puts on your face, absolute win. Sadly, if everything becomes electrified, this is a car that I don't feel will survive. This car would be absolutely ruined if turned into an EV, or even a hybrid for that matter. This is nothing against EVs, it's just against the sheer fact that this type of car just can't exist with a giant heavy battery pack or a lack of a traditional manual transmission. Lightness is key, simplicity is key, and I guess you just gotta enjoy this car while you still can.
It is now time to give this car some scores. Starting with the bean score, the assessment of the feeling you get in your gut when you give it the beans. And it is getting a rating of... Next is the cookie score, the assessment of value, and as this Grand Touring soft top manual is equipped in the mid-30s, it gets a rating of... Something that has the words Grand and Touring in the title that is still in the mid-30s is refreshing in 2024. Next is the wrench score, the assessment of ease of maintenance, and it earns a rating of... It doesn't get any better than this in 2024. This is about as easy as you're gonna find. Next is a squid score, assessment of handling, and it gets a rating of... I would argue this is as good as it gets handling wise for under 100 grand. I don't really know much about the fancy folk cars. I don't get privy to that part of society. So lastly is the Penguin score, the assessment of how much I personally like a vehicle, and it's getting a rating of... It's gotten better with age. I like this car more now than when this generation first came out. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. I'll see you soon with another. Bye. If you're watching this car review and you're obsessed with these little penguins like I am, this exact penguin that you are seeing in this car review, it's a one of one, is going to be listed for sale on my website for one of you to get a chance to own. Hopefully it's someone that actually owns one of these cars. That'd be kind of cool. But yeah.